Hello and welcome to another video on my channel where today I am going to be doing a building video on detailing. So let's get into it. Let's start things off with some bad examples of detailing. Look at these plain walls of oak planks, cobblestone, stone, and cobbled deep slate. Ew, like plain. And then look at this, just plain grass block. Ew, you don't want that. What you want is something like this. First, you got this plain grass over here, but when you mix in some green concrete powder, moss, and green wool, and some variants of that, like the moss carpet and green carpet, it actually makes up a pretty interesting grassy field texture. This first wall is a mix of cobble deep slate, tough, cobblestone, andesite, wool, and light gray concrete powder. This second wall is a mix of acacia wood, tough, mossy cobblestone, andesite, light gray wool, and some light gray concrete powder. This third and last wall is a mix of terracotta, oak planks, stripped oak log, stripped birch log, sand, and smooth sandstone. You might be thinking, what is up with this weird assortment of blocks like acacia wood, light gray concrete powder, gray wool, sand? Like, those are all ground blocks or tree blocks, or just, why would you have a type of sand like light gray concrete powder, like a powder in a wall? Now, when you're doing this gradient build-like feature, you need to think of it as just the color and the texture. Don't worry what the block is actually, because that will disable your ability to just make these gradients in your builds, which make your builds a whole ton more interesting. Now we're at the last section of this video. Now you might be thinking, whoa, this is a big amount of things, but don't worry, I will explain everything. So, this first wood wall, you can still see the gradient behind it, still drawing your eyes up the build, which is amazing. You have this small little plant pot with moss and this like azalea bush with like moss on top of it. Kind of makes it look like a bigger bush, which is a really cool building trick. And on the sides here, you've got these pillars, spruce trapdoors, and barrels. The spruce trapdoors adds some depth to it. In fact, like all of these things on the walls add depth to the build, which is really important for a detailed build. Pillars go from spruce trapdoor, barrel, to oak log, and spruce fence in the middle just to have that extra bit of depth. There's a little frame right here with spruce slabs and spruce trapdoors with this really big painting in it, just putting a lot of different textures and colors into that one spot. And then up here we've got another type of plant pot that has just a bush just hanging out of it, just growing out, and it adds a lot of frontwards depth, which is good for this wall and makes it more interesting. In the floor right here, it's not just some spruce planks, it's got these spruce wood blocks in it to create a different texture, even though it still has that spruce wood color to it. This second wall is like a stone wall, and there's a lot going on here. On the ground level, there's some depth right here with a little shallow pond thing with some like cobblestone and mossy cobblestone slabs, because it's like underwater and it gives it a feel of erosion with this like these cobbled blocks. The texture is very sedimentary, and you've got these tough blocks and acacia wood, which also look relatively sedimentary at the edge of this, like moss blocks. You've also got these plants like sugarcane, carrots, flowering azalea, these azalea leaves as like bushes interspersed with like moss carpet and moss. And you've got a slow little indent here that's going from like the tough blocks right here, just poking out a bit, into the gradient I told you earlier about. And right here it has these little indents created by cobblestone stairs that just fit nicely into this build, since they're the variants of the blocks that are already used in this gradient. Up here, there's a lot of depth, since there's an outcropping in the stone with some andesite variants, even with like a wall and some slabs and stairs, holding up these light gray concrete powder and wool. The wool doesn't need to be held up, but the andesite is like the closest variant of stone there is to wool and light gray concrete powder that I could find, so it works pretty well. Also at the very top, there's a huge like hang down bush that's made out of azalea leaves and flowering azalea leaves, adding just another bit of depth. The third wall is another stone wall. Now this is a mine environment. At the bottom, you gotta think of the environment right down at the bottom. It's got magma blocks and lava, so you know you're deep down underground. And you've also got these ores, like the deep slate redstone ore, like deep slate variants, since this bottom layer is made out of cobbled deep slate. You gotta remember like all these variants in Minecraft, because it really does help. You got this basic storage right here, like a barrel and a double chest, and you've got this slight ingrove to the wall with the deep slate down here. Now up here in the middle part of the wall, you've got still those incroppings right here, and you've also got this little platform right here. I would think would be to drop off these minerals right here, like in these barrels or chests or diamonds, or like this maybe big clump of diamonds, since prismarine slabs kind of looks like just it's a close color to diamonds, and it works well as like a big clump of diamonds instead of tiny bits of diamonds in an ore. And so these ores are being brung up by this crane that's like spinning up. Movement is a very good detail in builds, and with this grindstone that has this movement animation, it's very useful to make it look like the wheel is turning and bringing up this coil of chain. It kind of looks like a coil of chain, this grindstone, with this chain attached, so it looks like this I forgot the word for it, but yeah, box on a chain thingamajig is like going up to this platform. And right here I've made an extra detail with my own custom barrel, which is made out of a composter and a spruce sign and a spruce pressure plate. There's a lot of depth in here since I didn't just go for a one block. I put like signs on it and a pressure plate as like the lid. And so you don't actually have to use these storage blocks to make it look like storage. You can use these kind of designs with the composter, and it still looks good. And up here it is the same kind of outcropping as the last wall, however just without the leaves, because in this environment it would be probably that this mine would be more, it would be more deep down with like the lava and magma, so I doubt there'd be this hangover of leaves and glowberries. So that was a lot to take in, and so I'm just gonna go over it real quickly with these demonstration blocks. First off, these paintings, they give a lot of color variation and texture to a bland wall, which is incredible for these massive, just blank walls that you have to fill in a mega base or just a small build. The second factor is storage. It doesn't have to be these basic, like these already storage blocks that you can make them just as a like decoration block made out of like composter, spruce sign, and like a spruce pressure plate as a custom barrel. Third thing is the use of ores. Ores just add those little bits of colors into builds, and they're very useful in those mine environments. The fourth thing is plants. You can add these already like put in like flowers. You can use azalea leaves, which would normally be on trees, but you can use them for bushes, because they're not just useful for trees. They can be for hangovers of bushes, or these like slightly cut back bushes in flower pots. And you can also use these like bushes on the ground mixed in with these moss blocks for since you know what this block is, you know that it's a moist environment for these blocks to grow, which is a really nice thing to think about. And then you can add these crops too, like the carrots. I put in there, but it doesn't have to be carrots. It can be anything like beetroots, potatoes, I would imagine. And the base block for like cobblestone is just cobblestone, right? The base block for mossy cobblestone is cobblestone, but if you add those little splashes of color, it can be added into a gradient like this, or into a ground that's slightly mossy with these moss blocks mixed in. And the reason I picked a mossy cobblestone slab is that you can waterlog these slabs. And over here, I forgot to mention that you can actually put something like this, and it would be a smaller water outlet. It doesn't quite work in this part, but I did show you that it could be used for a small pond kind of thing coming out of the mountain like this, so it's more shallow and not just really steep into a little pond. Also, you can use plants like sugarcane and glowberries as an alternative plant, and you can also put string on top of these plants to maintain a certain growth. Like here, I put string by these glowberries to stop it growing right here, and also string right here to stop the sugar cane from growing up to its full height of 3 blocks. And lastly, there are many different types of lighting options. You could have gone with maybe a lighting under like a moss carpet, because it still emits light even under the small sliver of a block like moss carpet or green carpet. However, for this example, I just used a lantern on a chain, since I used it right here in this bridge when I put these fences here as a look of sturdiness. I actually attached chains and lanterns down to give extra light. Thank you guys so much for watching this video on detailing. I know it was a lot to take in, but hopefully you did enjoy it. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, because it really does help with my motivation to make these videos for you guys. But until next time, see ya.